Thank you. We are the San Francisco Scottish Fiddlers, and those three tunes we just played were a set of Shetland tunes. Now we're going to play a Celtic-inspired waltz, Bell Table Waltz. And when she tells us to, we're going to join her for the rest of the set. And the third tune also features our drummer, Mr. Mike Paz, who I think is the best drummer in the United States. He owns a farm in Troy, and we are honored and blessed to have him join us. Yay, Mike! Mike, please. Thanks, everyone. And that was Mike Paz and the Carl of Carnegie. And technical difficulties here, and can you come and fix this thing? Next, we're going to play a slow air titled "The Slock of Life," written by the late great Tom Anderson. It's whistling, and I don't need it whistling. I think it's okay. I'll kiss him. Okay?
Give it a smooch.
And Mr. Coy Fullen, Dr. Coy, is going to start us off with "The Slock at Light." Mark and I are going to join him.
Thank you, sorry.
Give me a G, Coy. Okay. Catherine Short from Spokane on cello. London Dawes on cello from Coeur d'Alene. And we have Leslie Rousseau on the mandolin, also from Spokane. And there in the back on the guitar, we have Bridget Hill from CDA. So if you're interested in this kind of music, we are an open club. You can come join us. We're a bona fide nonprofit. Money we make, we donate to scholarship funds and outreach. In fact, let me introduce Connor Fitzgerald, our gig coordinator.
It might be easier chords to play. That's why we.
Oh no, these ones are fine.
I hope they fit.
I think they do. I've played them many times.
Hi everybody, we'd love for you to come join our club. You don't have to live in San Francisco, you don't have to play a fiddle, you can play anything, and you don't have to just play Scottish music. We'd love to have you come join us. Even if you don't want to play all the gigs down in California, if you join, you have access to all the music on our website.
Which version are you playing?
I'm wondering, does anybody have a birthday today?
It's these chords.
How about this week?
I don't know if they're going to clash.
I don't think they will because that's the third of A.
And
Got some B's there.
Yeah, I think it'll be okay.
Whatever.
Well, happy birthday this week.
Thank you. You're turning 65. I'm proud of you.
Oh, excellent.
Thank you so much.
Next, we're going to play a couple of Dave Richardson tunes, Calliope House and MacArthur Road.
I like this one.
I'm playing AA. We have a new set order today, folks. And next we're going to feature Mark Dameron, who comes from the South Bay area in San Francisco. My right-hand man in these gigs, and he's going to start us off with a tune called My Hometown. Next we're going to play a couple of good old traditional Scottish reels. This is the Cloud of Brass Bay, and I forgot the other one. Largo's Fairy Beans. One, two, 1, 2, 3. I would be remiss if I did not introduce our Coeur d'Alene hostess who puts up, I don't know, 10 of us, 11 of us, we don't know how many are at Lorna's house. And she came up with this whole idea, and it's been a blast. Lorna Wolfel, everyone. Did I miss any of the locals? Steve Riggin playing piano. He's your own piano player here in Spokane. Yeah, the true gem here. And so now we're going to do a modern composition entitled The Tooth Fairy as the lead tune. And Leslie Rousseau from up this way is on the mandolin is going to lead us in that. set, everybody. We'd like to thank the Spokane Scottish dancers that we got to play for earlier, and
Catherine, and all the people there. Peter, who's one of the organisers. Thank you so much. It was always so much fun.
and everybody, all those dancers, we had a potluck with them the other night at the rehearsal. Boy, everybody up here can sure cook. It's wonderful. And God is standing up. She's going to say something.
This is, I want to introduce our beloved music director of this Idaho Spokane adventure, Miss the one and only, indefatigable, is that how you pronounce it? Jeanette Duncan. We won't tell you how late she stays up jamming and how early she gets up and then cooks for many of us. I wonder if there are any kids out there who like fiddle music. Any kids who like fiddle music? Come on up. Yes, kids over 18. Come on up, man. I want to give these CDs away. I don't want to take them home. So come on up. Send your kid up if you don't want to walk. Kids above 21, too. Okay, that's two. I have one more.
Coming.
Oh, for her music studio. That's great. Thank you.
20 more minutes.
I need those demos. I've got one more. Come on. Yeah.
I guess I'm not on the sound guy. But
One more.
stage manager now.
One more to go.
So
This
the
girl in the
person-
flower dress, I saw you starting to come over. Come on over and get one, honey.
And they're starting at 3. So, you know, if you guys quit a couple minutes before 3, I don't need to set up for that.
Okay.
And then I have a whole hour to set up for 3.
So after the Old Faithful set, let's do the Islanders and then come up with something.
It sounds like they're going to give us a little bit more time.
Yeah.
Thank you. Our
America.
sound man told us we have extra time. If that never happens, and we have lots of stuff to play.
I'm now a stage manager.
And the stage manager.
Yeah, I got a promotion.
Congratulations from sound man to stage manager. I think he works for Cookies or something like that. So, Old Faithful, it's a Cape Breton march and some other tunes. One, two, three. Oh boy. Rob Godfrey from Oakland, California, come up and sing a song and cloying to me. And then we'll do dill pickle and then that's the mic.
I forgot to tell the audience yesterday that the song is in Gaelic, so don't be surprised. This love song is actually a lengthy wedding proposal, and the fellow comes back from making his fortune. He has no family, so he's met this young woman. He wants to make her his wife and build a family. And at the beginning, he's a little doubtful he can pull it off. By the end, he knows he's won. And I hope that I make you realize that singing the song. You'll hear some things that are slightly familiar. You know about cluing people in? Well, this is listening to listen. Listen to me, my brown-haired girl. A cluing you me. I'm joined by Mark Daverin and Steve Riggin on piano. An Fleuchung und ihren Daumen, ja nicht ist heu, wenn I flow. Abogen despen horizon, Gera anjaman yapsu.
And now for something completely different, we're going to have Dave Allen come on up, and he's going to play Dill Pickle Rag for you, accompanied by Steve Riggin, and Mike Paws, Bridget Hill. Oh, and Carly Carnegie, our star, is going to play the Shaker of Lemon.
So you didn't play the cello part?
I usually play the chords.
Yeah, I know. I was being sarcastic. Fucking sarcastic. I was being sarcastic about that part. Anyone can play that.
I forgot to say that Mike back there was playing the washboard, which I love. So we are going to close our show with two Alistair Fraser tunes. But it's surprising. We're going to play his composition, First Light, and his really cool reel, Wagadoogoo Boogie.
1 second.
Stand up if you can.
1 second.
Well, at least the first part.
Okay.
However much you can. You know them all. Atmosphere. Atmosphere. More atmosphere. Thank you very much for the San Francisco Scottish Fiddlers. I'm Jeanette Duncan, the leader for this tour. We hope to see you again soon. Thank you.